And now a moment from Your History and Health starts first with Dr. Richard Brown.
Welcome back to Your History and Health Starts First with Dr. Richard Brown. Today, I want to first talk to you about physical activity in the wintertime. And then secondly, I want to talk about in the second part of the session, we want to talk about the social determinants of health, beginning with the second one this week, which is on education, access, and quality. So first of all, let me just say that by now, I hope that all of you understand the value of actually participating in physical activity because it will increase your health and increase your longevity. And it's just a super, super great ingredient in terms of being a healthy individual. So physical activity during the winter can be challenging, of course, but it is doable. It's cold outside. It's warm inside, so you don't want to always just get outside. But it is important to continue the physical activity regimen during the winter, just as you may have started doing it in the summertime. So one of the things you can do is something called a power walk. Now, this is where you put on warm clothes while you're inside and you go outside and you decide to do a power walk. This means you walk very, very fast to a point until perhaps you get tired or it's a long enough distance away from your home. And then you turn around and you can either run back or you can walk back real fast. And so the issue is that you want to build up a sweat. That is the goal. So if you sweat during this time that you're doing your power walk, this is good. So you can go as far as you like or as short as you like, as long as you work up a little sweat, because sweat is good. Um, when the body sweats, it's the body's way of eliminating impurities from the body and waste products from all the things that you've eaten and didn't get exercise afterwards. So sweating is good. Lots of people don't know that sweating is good, but it absolutely has its benefits. It actually cools the body. That's what it was designed for, as well as to eliminate impurities. So a power walk is good. It also can increase your heart rate. And if you increase your heart rate, of course, it exercises your muscles, which expands your blood vessels. And also, with blood flow being expanded, it is good for avoiding strokes as well as heart attacks. So, anything you can do to move that body every day and have things flowing through, then that's important and great for your health. So, the second thing in terms of an indoor wintertime exercise involved something called strength training. And this is simply perhaps lifting some weights. Now, I'm talking about lifting small weights that's only a few pounds. These are very beneficial for working with your hands, and it also increases your blood flow and helps with building muscle. And so, because there's less daylight and the weather's bad outside, indoor workouts are very, very important and more favorable and more likable than doing things actually outside. So um, also, you can also drop down and do some push-ups, which I think are harder to do. But if you're inclined to do push-ups, you certainly can do that. I mean, that only takes your body being used as the tool for the exercise. And so that's easy to do. I quite frankly don't like to do those too much because they're hard, but lifting some weights is fairly easy. Now, you don't have to lift those big heavy weights, just the small ones. And of course, they're inexpensive and they don't cost very much. Matter of fact, I'll give you a little secret. If you go to the Goodwill or a thrift store or a secondhand shop, there's usually lots of weights, lots of small weights there, and are pretty inexpensive. Now, when I see those weights in those places, I think to myself, wow, these are treasures, because this represents the tools that people have given up and abandoned that would actually improve their health and help with their longevity. But somewhere along the line, they either don't value it anymore, or they just decided that maybe there's something else they can do better that helps them to get to the desired result. So one person's trash is another person's treasure, is how I look at it. So don't be saying that, oh, I don't want to spend any money for any weights, because they're very expensive and almost free if you go to the right place. And again, it increases your heart rate and puts you in a position whereby you can continue to stay healthy. Also, I'd like to say that there's been some research, lots of research that talks about the advantages of lifting weights. For example, there's a research study published in the Sports Medicine magazine as early as May 2021. And it suggests that lifting weights regulates blood sugar and improve cardiometabolic health, lowering your risk of type 2 diabetes. This is important. A majority of people who are overweight and or who are in poverty, and several minorities seem to be infected with or have the issue of diabetes. And it has to do with, weight. It has to do with metabolism and heredity as well. And it has to do with your diet and what you eat. And so weight training, lifting little weights and getting that exercise in absolutely helps with reducing the incidence of type 2 diabetes, and actually can help decrease the effects of diabetes if you have it in the first place. This article also talks about the fact that the resistant training or weighting lifts can reduce your hemoglobin A1C by a significant amount. And the hemoglobin A1C is the test that the doctor gives to you when you go to the office, and he's checking to see how your blood sugars are operating, how your insulin is operating, such that you may need your medication changed or not. And so it is the hemoglobin A1C that they test for. And this weight training, weightlifting decreases the numbers that you would get when you take the test for the hemoglobin A1C. Although this findings in this particular research also suggest that this will improve your blood lipid profiles. And of course, the diet that you are engaged in along with exercise will contribute toward reducing your hemoglobin A1C and your lipid profiles. So what else do I have here? Another activity that you can do during the winter, especially you can do it inside or outside, and it's one of my favorites, and I do it every day. And that's listen to music. Listening to music is a lot of fun. You can do it morning, noon, and night. And then you can dance to the music, move your body to the music. The goal is to keep the body moving, okay? And TikTok is a phenomenon that's out there now on social media. And there's a lot of dancing, sporadic dancing taking place on the streets here and there, and living rooms and all over the place. There's lots of dancing and movement to the music. And whether they know it or not, they're getting some great exercise and helping to keep themselves healthy. Some people even doing it with their dogs and cats and their pets and animals. Well, you don't see it so much with cats or with horses. Those animals don't usually move that way too well. But you do see a lot of activity going on with dogs, people dancing with dogs and walking the dog too outside. Getting back to the outside activities is a worthy activity as well. That dog, if you have that pet, you got to take him out walking, especially during the winter when they may not be out on their own. And so that's good exercise as well. So inside again, Watching TV, we watch a lot of TV. I've mentioned that before. Minorities watch a whole lot of TV, and the COVID-19 pandemic forcing people inside has also caused people to watch a lot of TV. So one of the things you can do while watching TV is to get up during the commercials and do some jumping jacks, maybe even some push-ups, or just jump around, dance, walk from here to there. Of course, you can always take the stairs up and down within your house. All of these things that keeps the body moving is going to be beneficial to your health. So even though you're watching TV, movies, and sitting on the couch a lot, or sitting at the computer, working on the computer, it is always important to get up every perhaps 20 minutes or so and just walk around, move your body, jump up and down, keep things flowing. Know that it's beneficial to you. So having talked about physical activity during the winter, I want to now move to the second part of the session, in which I want to talk about the social determinants of health, of which there are 5. And we've talked about the first one in other sessions, and that was the economic stability. And today we want to talk about education access quality. The other social determinants of health are healthcare access, neighborhood and built environments, as well as the social community that one lives in. So let me begin by saying, what is education? We all probably have a definition of what education is, and it is varied. And we all probably consider ourselves educated at some level or another. But when I looked at some definitions, I found some similar definitions for education, but some of them are a little different. But they all focus on the human being and its ability to learn and to pass its learning on to others. So first I have here, education is the wise, hopeful, and respectful cultivation of learning and change undertaken in the belief that we all should have a chance to share in life. So life itself is about education. Children, when they first become able to move around on their own, they're learning every single day. It's amazing how much they learn on a given day. They're learning how to walk. They're learning how to make sounds. They're learning how to move in such a way that they get their needs met. And so they're becoming educated at an early age, and it's absorbed very, very rapidly in the young months, the first few months of life, and then up until 6, 7, 8 years old, the learning is phenomenal. They can memorize passages and information. Matter of fact, on TV, you'll hear them singing and repeating the commercials and all kinds of things that they've heard, because their mind and their body is learning and becoming educated without you even teaching them anything. They're learning on their own. Another definition says that education is a process in which the knowledge, characters, and behavior of the human being are shaped and molded. Education leads to the enlightenment of mankind. The enlightenment of mankind. So if you're not educated, then maybe you're not enlightened. If you're not educated, then maybe you aren't living life to its fullest. And so education is so important. I think we all know that. So Imam Ghazali said that education is a process which enables an individual to distinguish between the true and the false, the good and the bad, the right conduct and the evil doing. This is significant. Education should be about truth. It should be about good. It should be about bad, and knowing the difference between bad and evil. So it is so important to be educated. Aristotle is another philosopher that said education is a process of creation of sound mind and sound body. So we want a sound mind and a sound body. If we get the right education, we should have a sound mind and a sound body. But we know, because people are so sick and there's such health disparities out here, we know that the body isn't as sound as it should be. And we know that the the mind isn't as sound as it should be because of the education or lack of education. So people with higher levels of education are more likely to be healthier and live longer. It's a scientific fact. Healthy People 2020 focuses on providing high quality education opportunities for children and adolescents and on helping them to do well in school. So studies also say that children from low income families, children with disabilities, and children who routinely experience social discrimination and like bullying, or they're struggling with their math or their reading. These people, these individuals, are at risk for having poor health simply because of the learning and the math and the reading and the bullying things that take place with them. So they're also less likely to graduate from high school or to go to college. And this means that they're less likely to get safe, high-paying jobs, and more likely to have health problems like heart disease, diabetes, and depression. In addition, some children live in places with poor performing schools, and many families can't afford to send their children to college. The stress of living in poverty can also affect children's brain development. As I mentioned earlier, the development of children, that brain develops very, very fast and it absorbs a lot of information in a short period of time. But if you're living in poverty, the impact on that learning can be negatively affected, and making it harder for them to do well in school. So interventions to help children and adolescents do well in school and help families pay for college can have a long-term health benefit for their lives going forward. So thus, I always wondered about that word, thus. It's said a lot in a lot of places, so I'm going to say it here. Thus, the education as a determinant of health is very critical. Education is important and always has been for the survival of mankind and womankind. However, it seems that the importance of education has been eroded some. I mean, it seems like education is being overlooked. It is almost morphed into a lot of miseducation. And this is evident as we look at the pandemic that we've experienced beginning in 2020 and now lingering on toward the end of 2021. This pandemic has killed millions of people. And the latest at this point is about 700 children in the United States. So miseducation is more destructive than the education that you should be getting to make yourself become a greater human being or a better human being. Another prominent example of miseducation is to deny that systematic racism exists in this country and that it's running rampant. And we should know that racism, as it's been talked about in recent years, absolutely has an impact on one's health, on its mental health, on its physical health, on its spiritual health, and on its overall well-being. This is something that has perplexed and people who are minorities have been facing for many, many years in this country. And things are getting better, they say, and there is some evidence of that. But believe me, lots of research indicate and prove and demonstrate that the miseducation that has gone on in this country relative to racism has devastated some communities, and it needs to be changed. The internet, let me say something about it. It has been the most wonderful thing to take place. It is phenomenal. Way back when I first started school, we had these long, big libraries with index cards that you had to look up to find out information about the past, about assignments, writing book reports, doing research. Now, look what has happened today. You just click a button on the internet and ask the question that you wish to have answered, and it'll pop up and give it to you with references. You can actually ask Alexa these days. Alexa, what's the weather? Alexa, who won the World Series last year? Alexa, who won the Super Bowl? Alexa, what's the capital of Omaha, Nebraska? It'll tell you right away. So the internet is wonderful. It is the greatest invention since the wheel, since the bread, since TV, since radio, since tape recording. It is phenomenal, but it is not, and I repeat, it does not replace the human brain and what the human brain can consume and or store. Now, the problem with the brain is it's difficult getting the information out, but the brain can store more information than that computer can that's sitting on your desk. Studies have proven that. So people say that they have the right to exercise their freedom to choose vaccination or not. And that's because the flow of information on the internet has allowed millions of people to express their opinion every day, while ignoring the facts, ignoring the truth, ignoring science, logic, and the intelligence that exists. We rely so much on artificial intelligence these days that real intelligence, actual intelligence, human intelligence, innate intelligence seem to have been forgotten. Common sense is not common anymore among some people. So we now know we can look at TV and listen to any other medium and just talking to people in general. We know now that people have spent 20 years of formal education, like myself, like Dr. Fauci, like other scientists, physicians, and researchers. They're ignored. They're just ignored by someone who may have not even finished high school, may say something on the internet that people like and they heard and it resonates with them. They'll take that and treat it as gospel when all of this other science and research and education is taking place with the facts, with references, or just ignored. And that's a sad state when it comes to education. So education, the disparity, the social determinant of health called education and quality is super, super important. It negatively impacts the uneducated as well as the poor and minority communities, and even those that are educated. So as the second topic of the social determinants of health, don't forget about education and understand what it means. Examine what you hear, what you see. And my friend, the Black Eagle, who I listen to regularly, says you must think with an open mind. You must listen with a third ear. You must read with a third eye to make sure you're dealing with the truth and that there's honesty and that there's integrity, because education is so important and it will definitely impact your health and the health of your family, and the health of those that are around you. So my final message today, which is to cite to you some lyrics that was written a while back when I was executive director of the REACH program. And it simply says, get healthy, get wealthy. The formula is clear. Take control of your destiny. Be brave and have no fear. Okay? Be brave and have no fear. The formula is clear. Get healthy, get wealthy. Take control of your destination. Thank you very much. Good night.
This has been Your History and Health Starts First with Dr. Richard Brown. And you can leave suggestions at ewcfacts@gmail.com. That's ewcfacts@gmail.com. This has been an EWC Communication production.